So for those who are like, I don't know if I have time to read books, I don't know if I actually have the time in the day to be able to do that, I'll give you a simple tip that has actually worked for me, and I believe this is going to be able to help you. Not only you, it's also going to help you connect with your kids, create some time, set aside some time to be able to spend time with your kids and be able to kind of like introduce the topic of money and the topic of building financial literacy.
Ownership and greatness.
What's good, ownership and greatness family? Hope you guys had an amazing weekend. I'm blessed, super blessed to be here to touch base with you guys. Today is pretty much a different segment. I'm going to be talking about the books that are actually going to enable your kids to better understand finances. Someone asked me, you mentioned about the book club we had with your nephews and nieces, and where you're able to actually help them understand how to invest, and not only that, how to understand about the market, the investment market. And I was like, okay, today I'm just going to come in here and at least give you guys on a few tips on how you can actually enable your kids to understand more about investments, how you can empower your kids to understand more about investments, and also how to manage their money. So for me, like I said before, during the pandemic, I had started a club with my nephews and nieces and my kids, and it was a great experience because I was able to teach them a few things about money management, and not only that, a few things about how we can be able to build generational wealth starting at an early age. I'm an avid reader of books. Like, I love reading books, and I know for some that's not their cup of tea, but I have, like, from my experience, I've figured out a way on how I can always like become better at it. And at this age and era, we are blessed to have different avenues where we can actually tap into the information. So we have audiobooks out there where you can actually listen to the audiobooks while you're working out, while you're driving, while you're doing your chores at home, which makes it easier. So for those who are like, I don't know if I have time to read books, I don't know if I actually have the time in the day to be able to do that, I'll give you a simple tip that has actually worked for me, and I believe this is going to be able to help you. Not only you, it's also going to help you connect with your kids, create some time, set aside some time to be able to spend time with your kids and be able to kind of like introduce the topic of money and the topic of building financial literacy and building financial wealth with your kids and also with your relatives. Funny enough, these topics not only for kids, this can actually be used by grown-ups. People also want to understand how the wealthy are separated from the middle class, and I would say and also the people who have not invested yet. So I'll break this down to you. I think I have a couple of like 4 or 5 books that I'm going to be mentioning, and hopefully this is going to be able to impact or empower you in one or another. If you have other book suggestions, you can actually drop the comments and we'll be able to break them down in the near future. So without further ado, let's get to this. All right, now, if you all see, I have a stack right here. I have a couple of books that are my fan favorite. Some of the books that actually I enjoyed and the kids really enjoyed reading. And with me, I have The Richest Man in Babylon. It comes in different variation, but I guess I had this small one, The Richest Man in Babylon, authored by George S. Clason. And then I have another one, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is actually a nice read for enabling, like, making kids understand how they can be able to make friends, how they can become better communicators, how they can actually build their confidence and be able to actually reach out to people and make friends and maybe long-lasting friendship that's going to enable them to continue networking and become great in their lives. And then I have another small, simple book full of gems. Like, I know this book has been impactful for a lot of people, and the book is Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. Like, this book, it's only a few pages actually, but the way it breaks down the journey of like changes in our life. Like how do we react when we have like changes in our life, when things change in our life, when circumstance actually change based on where we are in our lives, and how do we react to the situation. Like if things don't go the way we expect them to go, how are we able to like make a 360 and pivot into the next level of our life. The other book that I have, but this for me was an eye-opener. This is for the people who are asking themselves, how am I able to know my purpose in life? How can I be able to tap into my vision? How can I be able to become a better version of myself? Like, I know we ask this question, like every day you feel like you're not living a fulfilled life. You don't know which direction to take. So this is a bonus book actually, because we never had a chance to go through it with my kids, but I'm a big advocate of this book because it's actually enabled me to become a better version of myself. The book is called Start With Why by Simon Sinek, How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action. This is actually a nice book. I would advise people, like, if you can actually get the audio version of it and you're able to listen to it while you're driving to and from work, or when you're at the gym, or actually when you're at home just doing your regular chores and you want to kind of like understand how to tap into your vision and purpose, that's a nice read. And another book that we actually read with the kids is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This is a story about a dreamer. This is a story about someone who was passionate about their dream and they never gave up on their dream. They actually went miles and miles away in search of it, and on their journey, they were faced with great difficulties, but the best thing about it all is that they never gave up. And once they reached their destination, they realized that the gift that they had was within them, like was around them, but they never realized that. So it's more about tapping into the gift that you have in you, being able to work on your craft, work on your gift, and not giving up, and being able to become a better version of yourself. The other book that I don't have right now, but which you can be able to get in any bookstores, or even buy it online. You can actually get it on audiobook downloads. The book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That's one of the first books we actually studied with the kids, because I wanted them to understand like the different aspects of investments and also how they can actually be able to start investing, on how they can actually learn a lesson about money management and how to become better masters of the money that they have. Because I know sometimes we have kids around, we give them we give them chores and tasks or some competition sometimes to be able to see how they can actually handle that, and we reward them for that. So when you reward them with a token of appreciation, you want to teach them how to be able to take that little token of appreciation and make it work for them in one or another. How can they be able to invest it? How can they be able to tithe? How can they be able, not only that, to use that to be able to create an impact to the society, and also how they can become better managers of the resources that they have. So just to break it down, like for me, we had a time where we just created like a timeline. We broke down like the books that we had, and we used to take like a whole week where we would be like, okay, this week you're going to be breaking down this book. So we would break it down in chapters with the kid. Like we'd start with one book, give them an assignment. I used to actually go on YouTube and get summaries, like nice people who've actually broken down the summaries of those books. And before we even started, I would have the kids just watch and listen to the summaries about the book to kind of like give them a breakdown of what to expect in the books. And then we would do like a one-on-one Zoom call with all of them, and we would go like chapter by chapter, and then that's on a Saturday. And then I gave them like a whole week where I would be like, okay, next time we're going to be discussing chapter, let's say 1, 2, 3. And I gave them the opportunity to go out there and like read it on their own, listen to the audiobook on their own. And that was interesting because when we came back, they all have like a different perception of what they understood from the assignment, and not only that, what they actually took from the book, which was good because we would sit down and break it down with them, and I would try and elaborate. And also I was getting like all these ideas and insights because they kids actually understand and also have a different experience from the books that we read. So for me, it was a nice experience. So we started with I remember Who Moved My Cheese, because I wanted them to understand like we were in the pandemic and how the change that was happening would actually impact their lives in one or another, and actually kind of like prepare them to always know, like, when things don't go your way, don't just get stuck in your comfort zone. You can always pivot around and look for an alternative way out of it. So that's something that we were able to discuss. And then after the Who Moved My Cheese, we read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then after Rich Dad Poor Dad, we did the Richest Man in Babylon. This is actually an amazing book if you want to understand how you can actually grow your wealth, how you can actually be able to organize and break down the resources that you have and multiply them in one or another. It teaches a lot about discipline. It teaches a lot about just being consistent with growing your past as they break it down. So I would really advocate this. Like, if you want to learn more about it, most definitely go get the audiobook of it if you're not a big fan of reading books. And if you're a big fan of reading books, get the copy. Just break it down. Spend time with your kids and family. You don't even have to do like a book club with your relatives or anything, but you can do it in-house with your kids. You can do it for yourself if you want to become a better master of the resources that you have, or if you want to become better at managing the resources that you have, and if you want to grow generational wealth. Because I believe sometimes the information that we were never taught is hidden in books. There's so much gems hidden in books where people actually dedicated their time and energy to break down the mistakes that they made, to break down the lessons that they learned, and wanted to actually pass that information so that other people can be able to duplicate that and become better at doing all that. And I believe some of us are actually great at it. Something you can actually do as a parent, or something you can actually do as an individual, is also create time to be able to put down your P's and Q's, like all the skills that you've learned, all the ideas that you have about managing your resources, about building generational wealth. You might have learned that through life, through the challenges, through your experience. You can actually make it a point to just sit down and create a journal that you're going to share with your kids or the future generation, and they'll have a better understanding on how to manage that. So I know we sometimes go back, or we sometimes look for information out there in books, in stories, but we also have the stories in us. And that's why I created this platform, to be able to encourage you to not only tap into other people, but also tap into the wealth that you have in you, the wealth of information that you have inside of you. Think about it. If we all took our time to create a plan, to create a blueprint for our families, where we actually break down to our kids, how do you start opening a bank account? How am I able to make my money work for me? How can I be able to invest in stocks? How can I be able to invest in real estate? How can I be able to buy bonds? Like, all these avenues that the wealthy are using to make their money work for them. If we know all this information and we are able to package it for our kids, like create time where you're able to journal it down, put it down, and give them like ideas on how they can able to do that, and actually kickstart projects with them. Like, decide, okay, this summer I'm gonna teach them how to make money. We are gonna start like a lemonade stand. Not only that, we're gonna go thrifting, get stuff, sell them on eBay. We are gonna start a project where your kids can actually help your neighbors clean the lawn in the neighborhood, cut some grass. Some of them are at the age where they can actually get a job. And once they get that job, show them how to actually manage the few resources that they have by doing the right things. So I'm saying this to say, today I just came in here to be able to show you some of the books and kind of like empower you and encourage you to do that as a parent, to do that as an individual, to yourself, and also to the future generation. So it's upon us to not only depend on other people to teach our kids about this stuff, or to just let them go out into the world without giving them the important resources to become better versions of themselves. Or we can actually decide to, okay, I'm no longer going to let my kids experience life the way I did, because I walked into this life without a sense of direction. But now that I have the information, but now that I have the wealth of knowledge, I can be able to create a plan where I'll be able to help them become better masters of their resources. So all these books, you can actually find them online. You can download them as audiobooks on Play Store or any other places, Audibles, I don't know. It depends with where you get all your books. Or you can go to Barnes & Nobles or any other bookstore and see if they have them. Even Amazon, you can actually order them on Amazon. Who Moved My Cheese, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Richest Man in Babylon, The Alchemist, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and many other books. I know there are many other books out there, but I'm just giving you an example of some of the books that I was able to share with my nephews and nieces and kids. And honestly, it has actually transform their lives for the better. And I'm not stopping at that. We are still breaking down other books as times goes by. So this is just a challenge that I'm putting out there to parents, to us as individuals, to you who's asking yourself, how can I become a better manager of the resources that I have? Where do I start? This is a level ground, I would say, section where you can actually learn about it. And you can also go online. Like YouTube is the best teacher out there. Go on Google, search more about books that can actually help you become a better master of the resources that you have. Books that can actually help you become better at creating generational wealth for your kids and for the people that you love. And once you get to that, once you dedicate some time and some effort to do it, trust me, you're going to reap the reward. You're going to be able to be a better money manager. You're going to be able to understand more about it, and you're going to be able to be in a position to equip your future generation. You're going to be able to be in a position where you can actually talk to them when they ask questions about how do I do this? Where do I do this? Because I believe when they ask, you can also point them into these resources and like teach them how to do their research on their own, and then watch them. Once they have questions, they'll come back to you and you'll be able to break it down to them. Let the kids learn on their own first and build like their muscle memory on things that actually are going to enable them to become better. So that's it for me today. You already know it's ownership and greatness. I just had to come in here and break it down because someone was like, yo, can you actually go in depth about it? And I was like, yeah, sure. This is just a gem that can actually change people's life, that can actually uplift people's life. So if you guys have any other suggestions of books that have actually impacted you in your journey of building wealth, building generational wealth, other authors, other tools and resources that can actually help us as a community, feel free to drop it in my comment. Feel free to DM me. Feel free to leave your comments on the podcast platform, and we'll be able to break them down with other people in our community. I'm so happy to be here, and just to give you guys an update, episode 9 is gonna be heavy. Like, we're about to change things in here. We're about to step into the next level. I'm working on something great for you guys, and hopefully from episode 9 going forth, it's gonna be different, and you guys are gonna be able to learn so much. You guys are gonna be able to be empowered, and not only that, to be entertained with the information and the stories that we have lined up for you. And as I always say, I really appreciate the views. I really appreciate the comment. Continue. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button to be able to get more updates on whenever we are dropping new gems or whenever we're dropping new episode. And also follow us on social media at Ownership and Greatness on all platforms. And not only that, leave us a review. We'll really appreciate that. I'm your host, Joe Chege, and I love you all. Peace, and I'm out.